Hello food storage friends, and welcome to another episode of Everyday Food Storage. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to make this magic lasagna that's going to cook the noodles while it bakes, so no pre-cooking noodles, no purchasing expensive special noodles. I'm also going to show you how you can use hidden food storage in your fridge, freezer, and pantry to make this, and also how to make one for tonight and one for later. Store it in your freezer for a busy night or for a family who might need an extra dinner. Okay, now before we get started, there's a couple things we have to go over, which is number one, why am I not using freeze-dried lasagna? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it costs about $40 a can, and it makes about as much as we're going to make in one pan. Now, I don't know about you, but I would never spend $40 on lasagna. Not even at Costco do you spend $40 on lasagna. Nowhere do you spend $40 to feed your family lasagna for the night, unless you're going out to eat. Okay, the whole reason we're doing this is to save money. So let's go over a few of our ingredients so that you know what to expect when you make this recipe. Now, number one, we're going to use spaghetti sauce. And not the spaghetti sauce that's powdered, oh no, and I'll tell you why, because it can be 3 to 6 times as much as this bottle costs. And if you shop sales, you know you can get this bottle for about $1. And also, I actually had some spaghetti sauce sent to me to try once from a food storage company, and the very first ingredient was sugar. So no, we don't use powdered spaghetti sauce. I just buy it from the store. And if you live in earthquake country, I've even bought it in plastic bottles at the store if you're worried about it falling and breaking. The way I look at it is, if you're rotating through it fast enough, which I rotate through this quite a bit with my family, and you're rotating through it within the year that its best by date is in, you're totally fine to store this as part of your food storage. Now, the next ingredient we're going to use is mozzarella cheese. Now, the reason I'm not using freeze-dried mozzarella cheese is because, did you know, freeze-dried cheese, whether it comes in mozzarella, Colby Jack, or any of the other fancy flavors they have, costs you about $15 a pound, okay? That's not what anybody spends at the grocery store, so it's definitely not an item I'm going to use every day as a way to use my food storage. Instead, it's actually interesting. When you buy cheese, go ahead and look at the sell-by date. It's usually at least 6 months out from when you buy it, which means it can sit in your fridge for 6 months. And of course, shredded cheese freezes really, really well. So we're going to use just regular mozzarella cheese. Now, the other interesting thing that I've noticed is it's same with ricotta cheese. I just bought this week because it was on sale, and the sell-by date is like 4 months out. So again, a lot of cheese products like this, regular shredded cheese, sour cream, yogurts, a lot of times their sell-by dates are much further out than you may think, and it can count towards your short-term, sort of 90-day supply food storage without it having to be entirely shelf-stable. Now, the last one you're going to be maybe a little disappointed is we're going to use fresh eggs. And we're going to use fresh eggs because when you use eggs in terms of binding like meats, like a meatloaf, or in this case with the ricotta cheese like you do in lasagna, powdered eggs just simply doesn't work there. It's good to know these products' limits before you make something and it doesn't work. And finally, I'm going to use, of course, Italian sausage. Now, this Italian sausage is what I bought on sale this week, and I actually cooked it up as soon as I got home, so I knew it would be easy to make when it came to lasagna night. And you can use freeze-dried. Freeze-dried is obviously going to be more expensive. Anytime you use freeze-dried meat, it's going to be at least $10 to $15 a pound, which again, I don't spend $10 to $15. I don't even buy steak or anything that pricey, and if I am, it better as heck be like filet mignon or something really delicious. So again, it's good to know when to use these products every day, when to save them for something else. But don't buy into the hype. Do not believe everybody that every food storage product should be used every day, because it is definitely not always going to save you money. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what the heck, you aren't even using any food storage. But the truth is, I am. And also, because we're going to make one and freeze one, we're contributing to our 90-day food storage. Now, here's one of the biggest misunderstood concepts in food storage, which is that everything needs to be shelf stable and everything needs to be freeze dried. Okay, you never want to put all of your eggs into one basket, because what if, like I live in Arizona, there's no way I'm banking on my entire food storage needing a ton of water in order for me to eat it. So let's go over really quickly what you use a 90-day supply for. Now, a long-term supply is different than a 90-day supply, and there are a lot of people who think that a 90-day supply has to be entirely shelf-stable. All the meals in the jar and everything, not so. A 90-day supply is when something affects you, your family only. Think of job loss, family sickness, new baby, unexpected death, an unexpected home repair that all of a sudden crunches into your food budget, okay? All of that's just affecting you, and it's not affecting anybody else around you. But you still have electricity, you still have water. It's the everyday emergency type problems. So of course your 90-day supply can be in your fridge, in your freezer, in your pantry, and it can take on many different forms. So today, that's why we're going to make one, freeze one, add to our 90-day supply, use a lot of ingredients that count as our 90-day supply, because not every emergency is really big. It's the little ones most of the time that get in and really get in the way of things, and I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to have options so you don't have to go eat out and spend a lot of money, and I want you to be able to have that enjoyable opportunity to have family dinner with your family no matter what happens. Okay, so now it's time to finally get started on that lasagna. Okay, because we're gonna make one and we're gonna freeze one, we're obviously going to double the recipe, and we're going to begin with our meat sauce. So what you wanna do is take your sausage, pour it into a bowl. This is going to be the easiest lasagna that you have ever made. Then you're gonna take your spaghetti sauce, both jars, and we're going to pour it in with, there we go, pour it in with our Italian sausage. Now, because this lasagna doesn't take any special noodles, no oven bake, but we're not going to bake them beforehand. We're actually just going to add extra water to the sauce so that the noodles bake as, or not bake, but they, get softened as the lasagna bakes. So we're going to go ahead and add in extra water to our sauce. Now, because we don't want to waste anything, we're going to pour about a cup of the water into each bottle, and then we're going to give it a good shake so we get all that sauce that's around the edges into our bowl. Go ahead and pour that in. I want to give this one a shake. Pour it in, and then you're just going to give it a good stir. Okay, seriously, the easiest meat sauce of your life for lasagna. Okay, there we go. Meat sauce is done. So next, we're gonna move on to our mixture of cheese, the ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, and mix that together. Okay, now it's time to make our cheese filling. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna start with our 2 eggs. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the eggs need to be beaten. And I don't like doing a lot of dishes, so if I put them in the bottom of my bowl to begin with, I can beat them and then add in the rest of the ingredients on top, and I just saved myself a bowl. Okay, get your eggs well beaten, and then we're just gonna go ahead and throw in a couple other ingredients, and then it's gonna be done. So at this point, go ahead and put in your ricotta cheese. Your dried parsley. Your Parmesan cheese, and I just use, the Kraft cheap stuff because it's cheap. And our mozzarella cheese. And then go ahead and give it a good stir until it's well combined. Okay, there you go. It's all stirred together and combined. It's looking really beautiful because that parsley is making its way all the way through our cheese blend. Plus, it's got all those different cheeses, so it's going to be delicious. So now we're just gonna layer together our lasagnas. we're going to start with 1 cup of the meat sauce poured in the bottom of each of your pans. Now this is the pan I'm using to freeze in. It's a Glad freezer and bake pan. So it makes it really easy because it also comes with a lid. So I'm just gonna put the lid on, put it in my freezer, and then it's gonna be ready to go. The pan that I'm using for the lasagna I'm baking today is just a regular glass 9x13 pan. So we're going to start by adding in 1 cup of meat sauce to the bottom of each of the pans. And then smoothing it out to cover the bottom. This is what's going to keep the noodles from sticking to the bottom of the pan. Okay, then we're going to take 3 lasagna noodles. And remember, these don't have to be the oven baked ones or anything that's any more expensive than just regular old lasagna noodles. And you're going to put 3 down in the bottom of your pan. Now it's not going to look like it's going to fill your entire pan, but that's because they're not hydrated in the water. They haven't gotten really big yet. I'm just going to go ahead and break one, put it there, even it out. Okay, now you can see it's time to put our cheese sauce on. Now what I've gone ahead and done, I don't know if you can tell, is I've scored it so I can tell. I've scored it kind of into 6 portions because we're going to do 3 layers, and so we'll need 6 even portions of our cheese sauce. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the cheese sauce on top of those 3 noodles that we just laid down. Then we're going to put on our last layer of lasagna noodles on top. Go ahead and cover it as much as you can. Okay, this is looking perfect. Okay, so now that we have our layering all done, we're just going to top it with some cheese. We cooked once, we have 1 set of dishes to clean, but we have 2 different meals that we get to eat. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on this one that I'm going to put in the freezer. Now for our lasagna we're making today, you actually have a couple of different options. So you can actually make this in the morning, that's actually what I did. I'm going to put it in the fridge for a couple hours until it's time to bake, or of course you can make it in the afternoon and bake it right away. Either way, you're going to want to cover it with aluminum foil sprayed with some non-stick spray because we don't want all that cheese to stick to the top of our aluminum foil. Then when you peel it off, bye-bye cheese, right? So you're going to pull out your aluminum foil, give it a quick spray, turn it over, cover up your lasagna. If you have your lasagna to this point, you need to bake it. So you're going to bake it in a 375-degree oven for an hour, removing the foil after 45 minutes. Then when you pull it out of the oven, you're going to go ahead and let it sit for 10 minutes before you cut into it. Don't be too hasty. It makes the nice, clean-cut, beautiful lasagna pieces that you love. Now when you're freezing food, also remember to label it. I like to label it just by putting a little piece of like frog tape or painter's tape and just writing what it is and when I made it, so I know how old it is. You can also include baking instructions if you want, but now this puppy is ready for the freezer. Okay, so my lasagna's out of the oven and it's rested for 10 minutes. Now we're just gonna garnish it with a little chopped basil that I got from my garden because it's gonna make it look really pretty and take it up that extra notch. I love growing stuff in my garden. It's like fresh food storage. It's the only way to do fresh food storage is in your garden. Okay, so now that we have our basil sprinkled on. Go ahead and cut a piece out. You can see that the lasagna filled the whole pan this morning. Cuts super nice because we let it wait that 10 minutes. Oh, there we go. Perfection. Now, just time to taste it. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's give it a taste. It's the best lasagna ever. So good. The noodles are cooked perfectly. It was super easy to make. I've got one in the freezer to make for next time or to give to a friend or family in need that might need some dinner. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to make sure you don't miss another video and to keep learning how to use your food storage in everyday ways. And then also, leave a comment below with what your favorite Italian food is. I actually have a lot of different recipes to use food storage in, and I'd love to showcase one of your favorites.